and welcome back to the Eurotrips Football Podcast. It's time for another team season preview, and this time it's turn of Arsenal. Now, my guest today is a guy you all know very well. It's one of our two regulars in Nayim. Ryan couldn't make it, unfortunately, but Nayim is here. So how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. Obviously season starts in a couple of days. Looking forward to it, see what this season entails. But yeah, all good on that front.
And of course, you mentioned season starting. Literally about, was it an hour and a half ago? The game between you and City, the Community Shield, has ended. Of course, you did win that, which I was watching the whole of the first half. Then then tea was made and stuff like that, and then something else got in the way. So literally, I went back upstairs, saw it was 1-0 City. Like 97th minute, I thought, okay, the game's done. I'm going to just go back downstairs now. The next thing I know, I'm seeing it's like penalties. I'm like, what's going on here? And I found out that Trossard had scored that last minute equaliser, and obviously only won on penalties quite convincingly. In terms of that, though, I mean, the last team to actually win a trophy after winning the Community Shield was 2018, which was Man City, who beat Chelsea. Since then, 2019, Liverpool lost to City, and they also went on to win the league. The year later, yourselves beat Liverpool, beat ourselves even, and of course, neither team really had a great season. Year after that, it was Leicester, Man City. No, it was Leicester, Man City, and of course, Leicester had an okay-ish year and got relegated the next year. City obviously won the league, but they lost that game. Year after that, it was Liverpool, Leicester, and obviously we all know how bad. So City, and City won, Liverpool lost, and so City lost and Liverpool won, and turned out they won the league. So, yeah, do you think that trend will happen again, or does that really not really matter? Is it a sort of thing? Is it just coincidence for you, or do you think there's anything to play in the fact that you actually won it rather than lost it, considering the recent record?
I think it's a bit of both, really. Obviously, to win it, it's like pretty much the first game of the season for obviously the two teams. So, I guess obviously, sometimes if a team loses, they're going to win the league. But obviously with City, you can never write them off. You know, they've been dominant in the league for the last 10 years now. So yeah, I guess by them losing that, they won't really matter too much, because it's just kind of like a friendly sort of thing. But obviously with that game that was played today, it didn't really feel like a friendly. It felt like a Premier League game. So yeah, we got lucky in the game at the end, but Ramsdale pretty much kept us in the game. He made a few good saves during the game, and obviously he did save a penalty in the game. So yeah, obviously it'd be good for us, bit of a confidence boost, because we've got a terrible record against City in the league. So yeah, hopefully this spurs us on to right the wrongs of last season, and yeah, have another good season, and hopefully have some silver at the end of it this time.
Do you think that maybe the fact that you beat them in the last minute, then won on penalty, shows not only the character within the team to do this, but also considering both teams were at pretty much full strength, this also showed you that you can compete with City. The fact that last season both games were very much, was it 3-1 and 4-1? I want to say both games. So like both games in the league, and even the FA Cup one was a bit of a one-sided affair. So do you think that the fact that this season, even though it is a glorified friendly, as they say, do you think even the fact that you have gone on and made it competitive, you have taken them down to the wire, you've got that equaliser, do you think that gives your side a mental advantage over them? Considering when you go into the season, you play them twice, do you think that will help at all?
Yeah, I think it will, to be fair, because the team you saw out there today is pretty much full strength, say barring maybe Jesus instead of Havertz. But yeah, also we had two new signings starting, obviously Rice and Tim. Well, sorry, three new signings starting. The rest of the squad obviously were there last season to the wire, and obviously they fell off near the end. So I think mental wise, yeah, it will probably put them in a good place. Obviously we got a lucky deflected goal, but if Trossard don't shoot, then obviously City go and win, and then obviously it's a different story, and then they'll probably just go say City will go and win everything this season. So I think yes, it's a good little setup for this season, and yeah, just hope that we can continue on and have a good season. But obviously you just don't know whether we're going to have a good start like we did last season, winning all those games. But yeah, I think we can compete with City. They're still a great team regardless of the players that they've lost. They have obviously brought in obviously they brought in Guardiola the other day and sent another centre back, even though they're pretty much covered for centre back. But you don't really question Pep signings because more times they do obviously pan out for him. So yeah, we got a strong starting 11. It's just the bench that is still a little bit weak in my opinion. I think we still probably need another maybe 2 players. The Havertz signing, I still don't know what it is. Like, he wasn't really that great at Chelsea, and then they still managed to get pretty much 3/4 of the money back what they spent for him like a couple of seasons ago. Rice will be a good player. Him and Partey, that's the double pivot I want to see going forward this season. And Timber, he looks like he had a good game before he got substituted off. He defended quite well. Grealish didn't really have much to do down his side, but yeah, that's a good signing. Got him for a decent price as well from Ajax. They do produce good players, and he's going to fit in there quite well because obviously we've got Tierney that can cover there as well. He can play right back as well. He's quite a versatile player. So yeah, obviously the 2 out of the 3 signings I'm happy with. For Havertz one, I think we could have spent the money elsewhere in different positions. I think Saka, I think with him, he literally plays every minute, every game. I think he needs another right winger to challenge him for a spot, and then obviously to rotate as well, because we've got Reece Nelson there, but he's out injured, but he's not really at the required level in my opinion to challenge him. He's a decent player, but not a player that you want to get to the next level, because obviously if you look at City, they've got a pretty solid squad. They only really need to ever sign 1 or 2, 3 players each transfer window, and then if you look at their bench, they just got players that can come in, slot in and do a job. So I think that's going to be telling this season, to see the level of the bench players that we have. Obviously, we pretty much got a full strength squad, barring Zinchenko and Jesus, who are out at the moment. I think we should have really gone out and try and get an out-and-out striker like what Man United have done, because obviously they were lacking in that department. So yeah, it'll be interesting, because obviously last season all the goals were spread out. Obviously Saka contributed to a lot, Martinelli, Odegaard, and obviously a few other players. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm quite positive this season. We've obviously been in the Champions League as well, so we're going to have to play a strong team in that as well. So yeah, bring it on, I say.
Yeah, of course, you mentioned the transfers there, and that really is kicking off our segment, which is the ins and outs. I mean, you've mentioned all the ins there. I mean, Declan Rice was the club record fee, £105 million, a total expenditure of £208.6 million this summer spent. No real major outs apart from Granit Xhaka, who Maitland-Niles released, but I don't think he's really a big loss. Same as Pablo Mari. So really, do you think that, I mean, I have similar thoughts to you in terms of the Havertz deal, the fact that it's a lot of money to spend on someone that probably will be the backup once Jesus is back, because I can't see him starting with Odegaard, Rice, and Partey there, and I can't see him starting over Jesus, Saka or Martinelli when everyone's fit. Obviously, but the one thing that I know Ryan certainly shares his opinion as well, the fact that what he does add, which really is what one thing she really had going against your favour last season, even with the lack of European football, was the fact that you need cover, you need depth, because we saw last year, even though you had a fairly good spell without Jesus, but I think having someone better than Nketiah, I think, will help you massively. And I think there's not even talk of even like Ramsdale being number 2. I think David Raya, a lot of talk of him coming in. I mean, obviously today he had a shaky moment, obviously the hero in the shootout, but in terms of there was a few moments in the first half, there was the Rodri lob that he tried to do over him. I think he was caught out of position. And then obviously he passed him near his goal, and he had that little touch and it almost caused a goal. So David Raya, if he comes in, what do you think happens there? Do you think that Arsenal are going to go with, they're going to keep Ramsdale, they're going to maybe have a number 2 play one of them in the cup games, one of them in the league games, or could you see potentially Ramsdale being sold on? Or what do you think happens with that if Raya does come to Arsenal?
I think obviously Ramsdale's still going to be number 1, but obviously in football you need players to challenge. Like, you need two good players in each position really to challenge on all fronts, in my opinion. So I think obviously with Ramsdale last season, he did have a few dodgy moments and mistakes, and like he hasn't really got much competition. We have Matt Turner there. He looks like he's going to be getting sold on to Nottingham Forest probably like the next couple of days, I'd say. So bringing him in, you probably might like rotate, maybe play him in the Champions League, just rotate it that way to keep things fresh. But yeah, you need a good goalkeeper to obviously challenge and come in and obviously do a good shift and potentially obviously taking his spot, because sometimes when players don't have no competition, they get a bit too comfortable, and then so obviously that's when mistakes can creep in. So yeah, I'll be happy with that signing. He's a good goalkeeper for Brentford. So yeah, I think Ramsey will still be number one, but I think maybe in the cups he'll probably would play like Carling Cup and FA Cup, and then maybe Champions League in the group stages. Just depends really. But who we do get drawn with obviously when that's done in the next couple of weeks to draw. So yeah, if we get him for about 30-40 million, I'll be happy with that, and then maybe another one more player. Like I said, I still think we need another winger, because obviously Martinelli's got Trossard there. Or no, Trossard can play all along the front three. I think he's going to have a good season, because during pre-season he's probably been one of our better players. So yeah, obviously when it's good to obviously you need to rotate anyway during the season. You can't just keep playing the same team. I know obviously. If you look at Man United, they kind of did the same. They did pretty much keep the same team, and they also got to 2 finals, got quite far in the Europa League as well. So yeah, we need to rotate, and the players that come in need to do as good or a better job than the players that are playing week in, week out.
You see, my thing is always I actually think that Raya, certainly being of last season alone, is probably a better goalkeeper than Ramsdale. I think personally, I think that Ramsdale had his moments. He made some great saves. I remember the Anfield game between ourselves and you. But I think Raya, for me, has been an excellent goalkeeper. I think he's been linked with Bayern Munich for a reason. And I do think that, for me personally, Raya is better than Ramsdale, in my opinion. I think that they proved it with Leno. They're not afraid to move on from goalkeepers if they feel that someone's better out there. So I think that if he does go, I think it'd be interesting to see what happens, because Ramsdale will know more than anyone else that your job's not certain at the top level. And I think he was certainly was sort of the beneficiary of that when it came to Leno being shipped out. So I think Ramsdale's got to be worried, because I think Raya could come in and be amazing. But at the same time, big difference between when you're a goalkeeper at a lower club where you're making constant saves to when you're a goalkeeper, who is at a top team. So I think it's a different kind of thing, and I think they're sometimes made to look better because they're making more saves, but actually maybe they're not as good. So I think it's interesting to see what happens. But I think if he does go and come in and get Raya, and Raya takes the spot, you got to commend Arteta for going and building on positions you've already got strength in. So I think I'm really intrigued what happens there. I think maybe the spending's up for them personally. I think they may well view that as the end. I don't know, but either way, I think it's exciting times for Arsenal. And really, this leads me on to my next question, which is all about, of course, we mentioned City, about the losses last season, finishing second, which no one expected. A lot of different expectation now. The fact that you are a team that everyone's expecting to challenge for leagues, stuff like that. So, what do you think you guys need, or what do you think it will take for Arsenal to take that next step and actually go on and beat City and actually win league titles? What do you think is the thing they need to do, the key to go from second to first this season?
Well, obviously, when you look at last season, pretty much it was say about 3/4 of the season, maybe a bit more than that. We was playing well. Obviously, we did drop points here and there, but we had that never die attitude. And then when it came to the crunch time, last 10, 12 games, that's when we started to drop points. So I think if we can replicate the same sort of form as last season, and obviously hope City, you just don't know what's going to happen with them. Like, they could go on a crazy run like they usually do. But I think it's just when it comes to the crunch time, that's where the players need to be counted for. Because last season it just crumbled away. Like drawing at home to Southampton, being 2-0 up at Anfield, which we never have done. Like, we've always went to Anfield and always getting a battering by you guys. In that game, we could have lost it in the end, to be fair. But I think it's just the mentality of the players. Like, we've got players. We've got Jorginho in there. I know he's not a starter, but he's won things. He's quite a big player. We've got a few other players in there that got the mentality, like Zinchenko, Jesus. They've won things. Obviously, Declan Rice won something with West Ham, and obviously they're like a mid-table team at the moment, or maybe threatening relegation. But yeah, you just need the characters in there that knows what it takes to get over the line. And I think the way it ended last season, I think the players know now what they need to do, and then obviously it's on Arteta now as well, to obviously to get the team right, make the substitutions at the right time. Because one criticism with him is he does kind of leave it sometimes a little late, sometimes to make a substitute when, like, say, like another team gets a goal, then he might like react that way. So yeah, we just need to do that, and we just need to have a fit squad really, because yeah, if we get a few injuries, then yeah, the players coming in, I'm not really too sure whether they'll be adequate enough. But yeah, once we get Zinchenko and Jesus back, then yeah, that will bolster up. If they're, I don't know if Zinchenko is going to be a starting left back now, or if it's going to be Timber. Obviously, we got Tierney there as well. He can do a good shift there as well. And yeah, like our bench is, like I said before, it's not the strongest, but yeah, obviously Smith Rowe's out for most of the season. He's back now fit, so I think he's got a point to prove as well. Because before that injury, he was playing really well the season before last. Ketia, I'm just not. I don't rate him, to be fair. I don't know why we gave him that deal. He scored a few goals the season before last, but we didn't get top four, so we didn't get the target that we needed. I think they probably will get rid of Balogun, probably between 30-40 million pounds. Then they might get another player there, but yeah, it's just the striker that's what's my only concern, because yeah, I know we will still get goals from our wingers, and Odegaard will probably contribute as well. But obviously losing Xhaka, he had like obviously his greatest season last season in terms of his Arsenal career. He got, I think it was 7 goals, 7 assists in the league. So obviously Rice has kind of replaced him. Rice isn't really known for scoring goals, so I don't know whether he can add that to his game. But yeah, so it's just the last part of the season. Like, I think we'll be fine. I think we got a few good. The first couple games are pretty decent. We got Forest at home first game, so that we should be able to get off to a win there. And I know we've got Tottenham and Man U in the first 6 or 7 games, but they're both at home. So we got, well, barring like a couple games last season near the end, and obviously City that we always lose against, our home record was pretty decent. So yeah, I think the players will be even more determined now to go on and win the league, because they saw that they could compete with City with all the talent that they have in their squad. And yeah, it's just you got to be consistent. When City drop points, we need to just go out and win every game. And I know it's obviously easier said than done, but we proved it last season that we could do it at the start of the season. And then I guess that's when the pressure wasn't really on us, because no one really expected us to be in that position. And then obviously as the season went on, it looked like we could have won the league. And then I think that probably just kind of crept into people's head. But there was something I saw from a City fan was saying that obviously it's kind of better to be in all the competitions, because then when you've only got one game a week, you've got more chance of to overthink things and that. But as a footballer, you want to be playing all the time really. And yes, if you can consistently keep playing, you keep that form. And I think that's what we should do next season. I think we should try and go for a cup at least, as well as obviously going for the league as well, because football's about winning trophies, and there's no point throwing away 2 cup competitions that realistically we could have gotten far in if we did beat City up in the Etihad. Obviously they got to the final and won. So yeah, I think let's try and go out and win it all. That's City's mentality. Just go out and try and win it all, and just keep going and going. And then yeah, obviously by winning trophies breeds confidence in the team, especially obviously in the League Cup. That's at the end of February. Winning that obviously spurs you on to we can go and try and win some more trophies. So yeah, I think that's what we need to do this season. Just try and just go for it all. I know Champions League is going to be hard. First season back in 6 years now. Yeah, 6 years. The last time he was in it. So yeah, it's going to be hard in that. I don't know who we're going to get in the group, because obviously we're not going to have a good seed in, because obviously we haven't been in it a while. But yeah, it's going back to obviously what you originally said. It's just the key stage of the season, April, May time, where obviously teams are fighting for obviously relegation, European places, obviously to win the league. So I think the players know that now, and with the obviously 3 signings that have come in, I think it should take us to the next level, to be fair, because yeah, we've got a good squad now. He's built a good squad now, and yeah, it's time for us to win the league. It's been too long now, and yeah, a club of our size. We should be winning trophies, at least one a season, if not every other season, in my opinion.
It's a good point you make because about the games a week. Because as a Liverpool fan, so many times I see our team actually better when we're playing 2 games a week. I remember, I think sometimes having a week off can make you almost not. I don't want to say rusty, but it can affect things. And I think that we had our best football. The year some of the years we lost to Man City, like 2 years ago, we were going for 4 trophies. Some of the best football I've seen us play, and the same thing happened 2 years ago before that when we had that amazing title race where both teams had 90 odd points and just kept winning and winning. And you were playing Champions League, we were playing Premier League, and I think that thing with you guys last season saw a little bit where the poor form probably started a month after you got knocked out of the Europa League. And I think that when you played before getting knocked out with, I think it was Sporting Lisbon, before that you guys were winning game after game after game. And I think I never thought about it that way, by the overthinking thing, but it probably is true because you really are probably in tunnel vision at that point. You probably haven't gone game to game. You haven't got time to really probably change things too much. You're going from place to place, game to game. So I think whilst there's certain things like Europa League can often be a bad thing in terms of fixtures wise, I think that probably is more down to where you're going sometimes more than how many games. I think you're going really far in the stick. So I think I'm really intrigued to see how they're going to do. But we normally ask our fans why they support the team they do. But if you want to catch our old episode, which is a club focus special on Arsenal, you can find out a bit more about Nayim's fandom through that. And also, we normally ask our fans at the end about their prediction for the table, but we are recording next week a season predictions episode for the Premier League, for La Liga, Serie A, and Bundesliga. So we will save that, Nayim, for when you come on the podcast next week to do our predictions. But the one thing we won't do in that episode is going to be how you perform in the FA Cup and League Cup. So that'll be some prediction we can do. So since the FA Cup and League Cup, how far do you think you'll go in either tournament?
Well, obviously when Arteta first came in, half a season that he had after obviously Emery got sacked, he actually went on and won it. But he didn't. That wasn't his team. That was Emery's team. Because I don't think he really signed anyone in the January worth of note. But yeah, most of those players there, I think all of them are gone, barring probably Rob Holding. I think maybe just Rob Holding is probably left out of that squad now. I know Nicolas Pepe is still here, but he probably might get loaned out or sold on finally. It's sad that it never worked out. He was our record transfer signer at the time. Obviously, Emery signed him. He obviously showed glimpses of what he could have done, but yeah, this didn't work out in the end. So I think with Rice, obviously we've bought him from another Premier League team, so we kind of know what he's about. So there's no guarantee. There's no doubt that he will perform for us because he's playing with better players, and he's playing at a club that obviously need to win things. Because I know obviously West Ham, they won the trophy, but their main aim is just to get into Europe, let alone actually win the thing. Because obviously they took that seriously. Once they kind of was threatened with relegation there, but once they were mathematically safe, they just could focus on the Europa Conference League and obviously went on and won it. But yeah, FA Cup, I want to go for it because he's shown that he can win it, obviously without the players. So there's no reason why he can't win it. With the FA Cup, if you get a few decent home ties against lower league oppositions, play a relatively strong team. We can put some strong players on the bench if needs be. Then yeah, there's no doubt that they can get far and get to the final. And with the League Cup, same sort of thing, because obviously I know that kind of coincides with you have obviously the Champions League obviously mixed in there as well. Obviously the European competitions. I think you should try and go far in that because look what City won it how many times in a row. And then obviously last season they didn't win it, but obviously they won the treble, so I don't think their fans were really too fussed about not winning the League Cup that season. But yeah, with the League Cup, I think it'll be good for us to win that because, like I mentioned before, it's the first trophy that you can win in the season, and then yeah, obviously winning a trophy is great, obviously for the fans and obviously the players, because they know that they can get over the line, and then that might knock us on to perform a bit better in the last 10 games of the season, obviously where we fell short last season, because obviously we only had like one game a week, as I mentioned, after getting knocked out of the Europa League. So I'm aiming hopefully to win either trophy. Really, both would be great, but either or, the trophy's a trophy to me. I want to win something. It'll be 4 years if we do win one. So yeah, I think we can get far in it. It just depends on what Arteta does. If he does what he's does the last couple of seasons, just plays a weak team and don't take it seriously, then we could just be repeating the same thing, and I'll just be angry again next season and more disappointed. But yeah, I think he should now go for it, because he's got more players in. He can mix it up a bit now. So yeah, I reckon we can go far in both for those next season, or this season even.
Fantastic. So that is where we'll end the podcast today. Also, we'll get more thoughts on Nayim's Arsenal opinions and where they'll think they'll do in the league, amongst other leagues such as his league, La Liga, in our podcast later on in the week. But in the meantime, first of all, thank you, Nayim, for coming on this episode.
No problem.
And we will see you guys for our next season preview. See you then.